What if the secret to success wasn't just talent or hard work, but unshakable confidence? Welcome to Grasp Confidence, the podcast where visionary thought leaders, speakers, and entrepreneurs unlock the mindset and strategies for lasting success. I'm your host, Tara LaFawn Gooch, CEO, two-time best-selling author, and international TEDx speaker, and I can't wait to help you step into the most powerful version of yourself. Let's dive in. On today's episode of Grasp Confidence, we're diving deep into a mission that's transforming healthcare as we know it. My guest, Josh Rimany, known as the modern-day medicine man, is nationally recognized pharmacist, speaker, and founder of the Beyond the Pills movement. With decades of experience, Josh has seen firsthand the harm of overprescription and is leading a bold mission to deprescribe 10 million unnecessary medications. By shifting the focus from pills to prevention, from dependency to empowerment, Josh is helping people reclaim their health, vitality, and confidence. His vision is sparking a movement that challenges the status quo of medicine and inspires a new way of living well. Stay with us. You'll learn how Josh is changing lives one prescription at a time and how you can be a part of this life-changing mission. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for the warm and beautiful intro. It's such an honor to be on your podcast and in your sphere of influence, Tara. So it's an honor.
Oh, I appreciate that. You've got quite an incredible story, and I do want to, peel the layers back and talk about how we got here, right? Because I think that's really important. You have a really interesting journey that I think could benefit a lot of people. Our audiences are the same. They're high achievers, they're high performers, they're people that are leaders that are looking to, succeed in all areas of life, not just finances or business, but also in health, in wellness and vitality, with their relationships, with their family, and then ultimately with themselves. So I think your journey is going to be quite inspiring to people. But take us back a little bit, Josh. At 17, you had something happen to you, right? And I would love for you to tell us, even like going back that far when you were a teenager, what happened that started?
Yeah, it's when I was 16, I remember on my birthday in March, I was sick as a dog. I couldn't get out of bed. I was in so much pain, and it was beyond like a cold or a flu. Something was wrong. We didn't know. And fast forward 6 months of that was just ER visits. Like my femurs would just be so extremely painful. Doctors didn't know what it was. I was misdiagnosed with, autoimmune and some lupus. Like they didn't really know. It was a criteria-based thing. And then my best friend, of course, growing up through middle school and even in preschool, his mother was a pediatrician in our town. And she's like, I think you need a second opinion. And so I went to the University of Connecticut Health Center and they did a bone marrow biopsy and they found that I had leukemia. And so I had a childhood cancer that had been going on for at least, for what we knew, was over 6 months, almost a year undiagnosed. And so that started my health journey at a very pivotal age in my life. Imagine when you were 16, what was going on, the sweet 16s, right? Like things are coming, the hormones are there, but like I'm having fun in high school, right? It was one of those places where life took a big trajectory change. I was high risk. I had less than a 50% chance of even surviving. And I went through this 90 days in the hospital. I remember it because it was my summer vacation. We went through 90 days straight in the hospital. This kid, 5'10", I don't know, I was probably 130 pounds at the time, maybe more. Got out of the hospital, I was 109 pounds.
Wow.
I'd been pumped full of chemotherapy and radiation. They call it induction. And it started my cancer journey of getting the best possible care that I could at the time, the empathy that I had with the oncologists and the nurses. But I was in the pediatric oncology ward at Yukon Health Center. So I was like the oldest because I was 16. I wasn't quite an adult, but I was hanging out with 2 5-year-olds going through the same process with me, all bald, all beautiful, going through chemo, radiation, different types of hematology, oncology. But it gave me a very interesting perspective on my own healthcare and my own journey. And that journey was about 3.5 years long of therapy.
Wow. Being diagnosed at 16 with cancer, that's tough. That is really tough. And, of course, we know how it ended. You overcame the cancer, and it was through traditional medicine approach, which probably propelled you to pursue this in a way, right? And probably got you interested in pharmacy.
Well,
Um, don't
yeah, like imagine going to weekly therapy, right? Treatments where I have a portacath so all the medicine goes straight into the body. It's not through IVs. And every week I'd get some level of medicine. At the time, that was what I call like it was medication, but it was chemotherapy. It was the red goo and the yellow goo and the hazmat suits, like the whole thing was like they're pumping me full of toxins. And the therapies are still kind of in that space today. But I was just imagine going through that and just being in that experience week after week, like knowing I'm going to vomit my brains out when this drug comes, and I know that I'm going to get really sick when this one comes. And they chemotherapy is basically kills all fast growing cells, because cancer cells are really immune cells. That in leukemia, it's in the white bones have white blood cells, but they're immature. They don't get to maturity. That's why they don't have a function, which is why they run rampant. They just grow. They don't have any function, and it's a bad thing. And so imagine a 16-year-old who already likes math and science learning about, methotrexate and all these other crazy drugs and all
Mhm.
these therapies, and having a firsthand approach with doctors and nurses. And so that sparked me to, going, well, what am I going to do in college here? I'm like, well, I want to be a doctor or maybe a pharmacist. I'm learning about these drugs. Let's figure it out. So I kind of teetered on the two. Um, Wrote a really nice, of course, when you go into college, you're writing your essays. It's like my cancer journey, right? It's like nobody's gonna like deny you college because you went through cancer, right? It's a pretty big thing. So I pulled the cancer card a little bit, right? And I wrote it, and I got into the only school I could afford, which was the University of Connecticut. They had a pharmacy school, and I got accepted. And so that started and the reason it wasn't just to learn about the drugs. The reason I got into healthcare was because I wanted to help other people the way they helped me. I wanted
Mm.
to heal them the way they healed me, because I got through it. I got into remission. And with my cancer therapies is if you're in 5 years in remission, no signs, you're considered cure. Okay. So I was in remission waiting through that process, and
Mhm.
I wanted to heal other people. So I went to pharmacy school thinking all medications, all drugs heal people, like, 'cause that's what they did to me, right? And so that started the journey of me becoming the pharmacist of me.
Mm. Wow, what a journey. So you graduate UConn, you go into pharmacy, and I would love to know in that period of time when things started to shift a little bit, your perspective on this industry and healthcare in general. When was that kind of inkling for you happening?
Well, there's a an interesting journey story of this. It's like I also got a job in a pharmacy at 16 because I had to work. I was getting okay. Like I was going through my therapies, but I needed a job. So I worked in the front of a CVS pharmacy vacuuming floors, and the analytical in me would pick up every little piece my first day of vacuuming, and my boss was like, nobody's ever vacuumed like that before. You take such good care of this stupid thing, right? And then I got a job in the pharmacy when I turned 16 or 17 because I could get a 50-cent pay raise, Tara. That was why I moved back there. So those two things led me to pharmacy, right? So I fast forward, I worked my way all the way through school. I could barely afford it, but I did it, right? I worked full time and I got through pharmacy school. I got it. I graduated. I had worked so long in the company that I just immediately became like a pharmacist manager in the company. So my trajectory into the business side of healthcare, CVS of the world, they weren't that big in the late 90s, early 2000s. They're certainly not what they are today. But I would fill prescriptions, right? I fill them every month for whatever, sleep, anxiety, depression, Prozacs, blood pressure. And I would just, you're in autopilot when you're in pharmacy. There's a lot. It's like a puppy mill. It's just going, going, going. It's the fill and bill machine, right? Very high volume. People are getting lots of medications. And they teach you in pharmacy school to be adherent to your medication profile, into your medication therapy. But we were filling month after month, same thing. In fact, when I started to think about it more and more, my patients weren't getting any better. It wasn't like this one space. It was like more than one, because it brought me into my entrepreneurial journey too.
Mm-hmm.
But because I couldn't take care of the patients that I wanted to take care of, I'm always been really heart-centered. I would take care of them to the best of my ability. I would be pouring love into the bottle. Didn't know it at the time, but that's what it was. There was some energetics to that. So I just started. So I kind of like said, well, I can't take care of my patients, so I think I'm going to figure out if I can do my own here. Can I make my own pharmacy and do it? So that was the entrepreneurial side, because I just got tired of the care. I left CVS, started my own business, had no idea what I was doing. I read some books on entrepreneurship. I did the whole business plan while I was working, and then I end up in Charlotte, starting Dilworth Drug in 2008. That's when I started to really pick up on the trends, right? Not just like filling prescriptions and getting profitable. That's when I started thinking like, hey, a second here. My patients aren't getting better. They're actually getting worse over time. Age, right? We keep saying like, well, you're getting, it's just a product of getting older. More complex chronic conditions would come on. The blood pressure would turn into the cholesterol, would turn into the diabetes. And that's what the normal people think, right? You get old, you take more medicines. So I'd be polypharma all over the place. And I was like, there has to be a better way here. I didn't get into this to fill prescriptions for people to manage symptoms. And so that brought me down that road of, I've always been a why guy. You know me a little bit, right? Like I've always searched for the why.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just led me down this path of awareness of my journey towards holistic health, integrative health, like thinking more outside of the box, like, and my wife's journey with her migraines. She had a 3-month migraine, and no traditional medicine, no neuroscience headache specialist could figure it out. I was like, again, the universe, or whatever you want to call that, was telling me to learn and figure some more things out. There's a better, different pathway. So we learned that food is medicine. We learned that all the crap you put in your body, all this complex, foods that we eat, these synthetic things, all this stuff matters. So we started cleaning up our diet. We started cleaning up our lives. Was
Mhm.
taking meditation classes because I was learning about stress. And so I went from pharmacist learning about nutrition, learning, and then the science brain in me said, well, I'm going to learn about the clinical aspects of that. So I started learning clinical nutrition, which is really the science of supplementation. Like, what's the mechanism of action of omega-3 and magnesium and all these things that kind of were in the holistic space, but not in the pharmacy space. Of course, you have vitamins on the shelf, but they don't teach you that in college. I got 1 week of nutritional education in 5 years of pharmacy school.
Mm.
So I did it on my own, right? Just like any good entrepreneur does, they're going to learn it. So I learned, I read books, I went to seminars. It led me down the path of compounding. It led me down the path of really what functional medicine is now. And so
Wow.
I got certified in functional medicine because I just went all in. I said, you know what? I got to learn the science and the mechanisms of how to treat patients more from a well care side, which just sparked me into becoming a certified functional medicine practitioner through the Institute for Functional Medicine. I vetted all the places at the time. And it was interesting, Tara, because I'm going through this process, right? As a pharmacist, because that's what's on the back of my name, right? That's the letters I got for being credentialed to healthcare. So I'm in the wellness functional medicine space, and pharmacists are in the other category at the time. It
Mm.
was not even a thing. Like, there's
Mhm.
doctors and health coaches and nurses and you name it, chiropractors, they're all in the room getting certified. And then I'm meeting people and they're like, oh, you're a pharmacist. Oh, that's nice. You must compound. That was it. Like, it was just, oh, you make stuff. So imagine the guy who is literally designed to feed the system with medications is the guy that's starting to learn how to not put medications in there. So it's kind of like the anti or the at the time it was kind of anti-pharmacy. It was like, oh, you're a pharmacist. Why would you be here?
Wow. Yeah, I know. I love it. You're a pharmacist on a mission to deprescribe 10 million unnecessary medications. And I think the key word there is unnecessary. I never had really thought about this epidemic of over prescribing until really, a lot of us got the first taste of it during COVID. We kind of saw it. We see, epidemic of dependency, right? On the news, you hear stories. But it wasn't until I met you that I really truly realized what state we are in. And it's a global concern, but it's very predominant in the United States as well. And I like one of the things you say, it really is sticky pill for an ill, right? Anytime you have something, throw a pill at it, in, modern day healthcare. But is that the answer? Is that the way? And I don't think it is. I think there's, like you're saying, a more holistic approach. And you can't look at the dependency numbers and stats and be okay with it.
Well,
There's something there, right?
the yeah, the concept I want to like explain is it's really an evolution, right?
Mhm.
You know, and we're going full circle here. So the word "and" is always important because we're evolving healthcare, we're evolving as a species, we're evolving as humanity, we're evolving, and all the systems seem to be breaking down in this present day moment. And yeah, it's we've been trained in the intellect side of things, the age of information, because when you went to the shaman or the medicine man or even the pharmacist 100 years ago, right? In Europe, wherever around the world, he would make stuff from plants. He would mix the tincture up based on your symptoms and your energy. There was some empathic, intuitive space to that. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to grab something off the shelf. Fast forward to penicillin, which
Mm.
is made from a plant, right? It's a mold. It's I call it the prescription evolution. And it's on one of the components of one of my websites for the pharmacy, and it's rooted around that. Like, we figured out that we could extract from plants and we could cure something, right? There was this acute care. Penicillin kills bugs, right? Which sparked the pharma industry, really, right? Bayer Pharmaceuticals and all these other companies came around and then said, oh, that became the pill for the ill, right? I'm going to take this thing if I have this thing.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that system, it works really well for acute care. It's getting worse now because we're getting superbugs, overprescribing. We'll talk about overprescribing. But what it came to is, can I mechanistically work on the biochemistry of the body to influence pathways with certain chemicals, mostly extracted from plants or derived from them? And they still are to this day, but now it's getting more into the biologics and everything. Well, the industry was created, but then they started to extrapolate that into chronic care, right? Acute care is different than chronic care. Chronic disease is a progression of symptoms, but it's a progression of the body going in the wrong direction of health. So the system was designed for one thing, and it was trying to look, what can we do it for everything, right? That's kind of the approach. And it does work for a good amount of people when you get to a dysfunction that you need to change things around. That's why it took me 49 years to get to the word unnecessary medication. Because
Mm.
at one point I was like, there's no need for medication. You can do all of these things. And it was like, no, when you get to a certain component of dis-ease, you need some things. You're just going to need a bump. But the problem is, it doesn't apply to chronic disease when we're thinking about curing, healing people, reversing things to where we're vibrant. We don't need them. We got to this place where pharma, and we know it in this country, we're one of the only countries in the world that can advertise medications, and reps go to the doctors and they influence them to fill this drug and this drug. Look at OxyContin and all these other crazy things that have happened with over prescribing, because the system is rigged to profit. It's not rigged to healing. It's not
Yeah.
rigged. If pharma heals people, they lose customers. So like, healthcare is a big business. It's a huge business. It's a huge part of our GDP in this country. And we front 80 to 90% of the whole healthcare costs of pharma in this country. In other words, we pay way more than any other country in the world, and we use a lot more. So yes, we're overprescribing, and here's the stat. We're filling more and more prescriptions, yet chronic disease is on the rise. So it
Wow.
doesn't, that simple fact means there's something wrong. We can't fill
Absolutely.
more. It's like the definition of insanity, right? Do the
Yeah.
same thing more and more, expect the different results. Chronic disease is on the rise. Our environment is more sick than it's ever been. Big food, big pharma are doubling down. There's nothing wrong with them, okay? It's a choice we make. But in chronic conditions, 80 to 90% of the time, and these are all stats, these are all backed by science things, is a chronic condition is a lifestyle problem. We're not in the right relationship with ourselves, with our stress levels, with our environment, with our people. Look at blue zones. Blue zones weren't like scientific pharma double-blind placebo-controlled studies. They just found 7 or 8 places in the world where people live till they're 100 more often than other people in the world. And then they studied those people, like in Nicoya, Costa Rica, or in Okinawa, Japan, or Loma Linda, California. These people live to their 100 longer. So they're like, what the heck do these people do? Well, they get in the dirt, they get exercise, they eat in community, they're in nature, they eat more plants, they eat whole foods, and they're different. They're variety around the world. So it's not one food, it's plant forward. It's eating
Mm.
clean. Like, it's these things that we kind of forgot when convenience happened, cheap meat happens, and we put all these antibiotics and hormones and big farming, and all of a sudden we're here in this soup that we have now of we're not eating right, we're not sleeping right, we're not exercising or moving, we're more sedentary than we've ever been since COVID because we're on these screens more often. We're not in the right relationship with ourselves or the people around us because stress is out there, chronic disease. Just think of all the things like cognitive function, anxiety, depression. These are all escalated. And
Wow.
so that's the soup, that's the system we've created for ourselves. And now I feel it's people I'm talking with on my podcast, especially the providers, we're seeing the system has failed us now. It served its purpose, but now we're evolving through it. And this is why I'm in the business of transformation and healing now, because I know it's possible. I've done it myself. I've traveled all over the world. I've seen how we can move past symptom resolution and what I think is sick care. It's not a derogatory statement, by the way. It's we're in a sick care reactive system. How do I keep you less sick? That's how insurance companies get incentivized. But now we're going from sick care to health care to well care, wellness. And what I think is the next stage, which was where I'm putting all my energy into, which is healing, teaching the body to heal itself. We have this innate, beautiful, complex, amazing system called our bodies, where we know and can nurture the body's own ability to heal. And it's through not just the ancient ways of blue zones and energy and all that. It's really how do we merge that with today's modern day science, which is at the forefront. We're talking biomolecular, genetic influencing on that same innate system to heal. And from a pharmacist perspective, it's the easiest thing for me to explain to other healthcare providers is we know the placebo effect is real because pharma took it and then washed it out of all their studies. It's called a double-blind placebo-controlled study. That's the standard of care for pharma to approve a drug. We need to take the placebo effect and put it out and prove that this drug had a significant effect beyond that. But if we took that bucket and looked at it and now science is proving this, why do 30% of people get better off now? Why can't we nurture that part of it? And that's what's been the vibrancy and the purpose that's built up in my life is moving towards that. The pharmacist of the future, the pharmacy of the future is right inside of us.
Mm. That is
We can do
so
this stuff
empowering.
ourselves. We know we can. And I've been in
Yeah.
rooms and meditations where you're showing it. It's a beautiful thing right now. We're in a golden age.
That is so empowering. And I really do hope this episode transforms someone's life. Someone out there is listening to this right now, Josh, and they've been on depression medication for a long time, maybe. Maybe they feel anxious. Maybe they, have migraines like your wife, and they can't seem to find a traditional cure to really help them heal long term, that holistic approach like you're referencing. I think that is so powerful and empowering for anybody listening that identifies with this to know that there is a solution out there that can really bring them long-term healing. That's powerful. That is powerful. What would you
Well,
say to somebody that is going through this right now, that's maybe on a medication and they don't feel it's serving them?
Well, let's start with what not to do because like don't stop your medication without like medical direction, right? But that we're not advocating for people to just be their own advocate completely, right? But the thing is there's an infinite amount of infinite possibilities in this world. Medication only isn't the only way. When you choose to, because we all have choices, every single lifestyle choice we make are micro moments of choice every day. I can choose to pick up this coffee this way or this way. I can choose to put adaptogen mushroom infused beauty in this coffee every day and not have a whole lot of caffeine, or I could go to Starbucks and get a latte full of sugar and hit my dopamine, right? So these choices we make, what I want to impart to your listeners is flipping that script, because I think the empowerment comes first. You're big on empowerment. I know you, but empowering yourself to be the doctor of the future, not because you're going to diagnose and treat and go on AI and Google and all this stuff. What's the best supplement for X? That's just a green pill for the ill. It's what can I do? So I'm empowering myself. This is what I've said for many years, is to encourage, empower, and enhance the community's well-being. Empowering yourself is being an informed patient, asking questions and challenging things that don't resonate with you anymore, right? That person that's waking up, that's becoming awake, that says, I'm having conversations daily with patients and with providers and people. They know the system isn't working for them now. It's called being sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? I'm on 10 medications and you wake up one day and you're like, what in the heck am I doing? I'm not feeling good at all. And then the doctor says there's nothing wrong with me because there's no lab to show that I can have a diagnosis code to bill my card for. No, it's inside of you, you know. So I've had many stories of transformation in my own life and other people's lives, that it starts with that choice point. Today, I'm going to wake up and do something different. So it starts with lifestyle. Lifestyle is cheap and low cost.
Mm-hmm.
Get out in the sun, right? Get out in nature. Get off your screens 2 hours before bed.
Yep.
Eat in relationship with somebody. Like, there's so many, this is what I call the daily dozen. We have a dozen things you could do every day that don't take you more than 30 seconds, that are just going to help yourself. Self-care is really important in this day and age.
Mm-hmm.
But if we rely on the outside world to fix us, that's what doesn't seem to resonate in harmony with the body's ability to do what it's supposed to do. Functional medicine is really simple. It's not complex. I love making complex simple. It's why we have a wellness made simple program. It's because let's do the simple first. It's the 80-20 rule here. If you're doing the simple 80% of the time, the complex simply goes away. You can change and reverse diabetes with food. Now, do you need a guide? Probably. Because, wellness is, it's a vocation. It's something we do, just like you, just like other people, just like leaders. We all have a job, if we want to call it that, but we need guides. The guide or the coach doesn't play the game. This is why the doctor isn't the driver of your healthcare, or the pharmacist or whatever. He's a part of that. He should be a guide in your journey and listening to people, listening to your healthcare, getting the energy out. How many times does a doctor listen to what's going on with somebody? It's like, oh, they're looking at a pat. It's not their fault, right? I'm not blaming anybody. The system is kind of rigged for the profit side. I got to see a patient in 6 minutes, or else I'm not going to get paid. Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend an hour or two with someone on my first visit, and I'm just going to listen. I'm going to ask some questions, but I'm going to listen. Listen with your heart, not just with how to fix. And when someone leaves, they're like, no one's ever listened to me that long about what's been going on with me. I feel so much better. So it starts with that kind of stuff.
I love that. It's so powerful. And I just want to, say too that I brought up anxiety because I was having a lot of anxiety, right? And I've told you that. And something very, very simple. I was listening to one of your podcasts and then just knowing you as well, you talk about magnesium and vitamin D3. So, okay, so I tried it. Gone. Totally gone. Anxiety. It's like a thing of the past. And when I think back to that anxious, like, state I was in, it doesn't even I I don't even relate to that person anymore.
Mm. That's transformation.
It is.
That's what I love working with. See,
Yes.
the magnesium wasn't the molecule. Of course, it's going to affect 400 things in your body. That's why everyone needs it. But it's bringing you back into the right relationship.
Mm.
There's a word in shamanic energy. I'm trained in different modalities. You know me. I speak woo and science at the same time. But in the shamanic world, in North and South Americas, there's this word, and especially in South America, it's a word called Ayni, Ayni. And when you're in Ayni, you're in good relationship. So
Mm.
when I bring people down the alignment arc, I call it now, is we've got to get in right relationship with self.
Mhm.
And that magnesium was a piece. It's a
Mhm.
tool, right? The vitamin D is helping you. It's like a hormone. Everybody needs it. Get out in sun. We got more vitamin D than we need, but we're not out there. So when we put these things in right relationship, it starts to unlock the body's innate ability to heal. Those neurotransmitters are just being fed and bathed in the right kind of magnesium. It's not the wrong kind. You knew what to do because you were listening to the right people that have been studying this stuff for a while, right?
Yep.
And then it became a part of who you were, who you already knew. It woke up something inside you that was that calm, centered, radiant Tara that I know, because that anxiousness comes out from shadow. It comes out from programming. It comes out from fear. Anxiety is just a fear of the future.
Yep.
We all have these things, right? It's not like, oh, I had to fix me. It's like, no, I had to nurture something that were going to ground me better and put me in my relationship with who I am and what I'm here to do.
Mhm. I
We
love
call it flow. Athletes call it the zone. Well, we can teach the body through mind body experiences, supplements, all these things. These things are the things that get you in more path to your own wholeness and groundedness, which is why those things helped you.
Oh, and, coupled with that, I also deepened my spirituality. I limited my time on my phone. I realized how much time I just started becoming more mindful of things, right? I realized, oh my gosh, I'm spending this much time on my phone. I deleted all my social media apps. I cleaned up my diet a little bit and started supplementing with some natural magnesium, vitamin D, getting outside more, coupled, the holistic approach that you speak about. Guess what? That's why the anxiety is gone. It's not just one thing, right? It's many different things because we're multidimensional beings. We're here in the 3D in the flesh, but we also have a spirit. And that's why it's important to deepen our knowledge, deepen our relationships, deepen our connection, right? Not just to ourselves, but to other people, to something greater, right? The bigger picture of everything. And when you do that, one, it's empowering, but two, it is transformative, just like you said. And then it doesn't take that long. You look back at your former self and say, wow, that seems like another person.
Well, when you work on the energetics, I love where you brought this in because it is body, mind, and energy,
Yeah.
spirit,
Yeah.
soul, if you even want to go there. But when
Mhm.
you work on the energy body, things happen so
Mhm.
much faster.
So
We're
much
in the
faster.
quantum world. We know quantum is there. 99.999% of all of our reality is nothing. The things we cannot see. but we know it's something. So
Mhm.
working in the energy is why I love, because it's like changing the blueprint of your house to get the renovation done in an instant. In other words, the body, the physical, the chemical, right? The stuff we've been talking about, pharma, these things, we've been focused on the body. It's the longest way possible to change matter. It's the slowest form of energy. But if we get in and we know the mind body works, we know the mind can make you well, right? We talked about the placebo effect, but the mind can also make you sick. Anxiety, rumination,
Yeah.
stress. We know that word now, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're in fight or flight 70% of the time. We're not genetically bred for that. We were supposed to run from the tiger, get eaten or not, and go back to bed. That's kind of how our biology works. So we can work on these components. There's always something to do with your body. You got to treat it right. It's the $1 million racehorse or the $1 million sports car analogy, whichever one you want to look at. If you owned a $1 million racehorse, you'd treat it really well, wouldn't you? This is the most sacred part of our existence. If you believe in multi-timeline existence is great. I do. So why don't we treat the body right so we can train
Mhm.
and teach the next soul appearance that already knows that. So treat the body right. Mindfulness, meditation, breath work, these things are in harmony. We know the science now. We've done a ton of podcasts on this because it's been a big focus of my anxiety and stress. I've gone through my own wounded healer's journey from even before cancer, right? Since I was 2 years old, I've had meaningful things happen to me over my time to get me to understand I've had things to learn to heal. And so mind-body connection is real. The gut-brain connection is real. The heart-brain connection is real. The problem is we're all here too much. When we start to move down to here, intuition, feeling, not feels, but like this is where humanity's going. AI is going to go way faster here for us. This is good. Now we have to merge it here. So mind body connections, intuitive spaces, that soul level stuff. What you said was really key. It's what matters. The stuff, the fluff, the things, they don't matter at the end of the day when you're on your, and just don't study yourself to get to the deathbed and then go, oh, I wish I had done all these things. What do the people most regret when they're ready to transition out of this body, out of this physical existence?
Mhm.
I wish I had more time with my kids, my wife. I wish I traveled more. Like I wish those things that matter are what you started to focus more on, right? You got rid of some of this stuff. That was the noise. This is the most anxiety producing machine we've ever created because it wants you plugged in all the time. And this is also a blue screen. So it's got high noon to your brain every time we're on the screen. I usually wear blue blockers, but I don't on these podcasts. But so we've got these things we can do now. Technology knows we got this thing. Let's use the technology for what it's worth. But let's get into that right relationship that I need,
Mm.
not only with ourselves, the people around us, our businesses, our financial component, and yes, the world around us, the universe, nature, getting back in nature and being connected. Everything is connected, but we're so disconnected by this.
Yes.
Meta wants us connected. We want us shit. They're giving us glasses now to keep us connected just when our eyes are open. That is the antithesis of connecting to source, connecting to what something bigger than us. Why I'm a big fan of nature and going out and hiking and going to the adventures and all the things that I do because it puts me in right relationship.
I love that.
And that's why plant medicines are great. We don't need to talk about them today, but the psychedelic renaissance is here as well. Well, it automatically puts you into connection with nature in a deep way. But we don't want to do that with a DIY approach. You got to find the guides.
That's right. That's right. And it's important to go to somebody trusted like you. And what I love about your approach is that you know both sides of the fence, right? You know the Western medicine approach, but you also have a deep, deep understanding into the shamanic, into the natural healing, into the plant medicine, into just the origins, right? Our human origins, the deep teachings
Well,
from
it's
various different cultures. That's
full
so powerful.
circle now. Yeah, it's full circle. I know, like this is why I say it's like the golden age. We are taking all that
Mhm.
technology, we're taking all this beautiful wisdom that we've created, but we're going now full circle. Full circle doesn't mean going back. I've had this analogy for a long time, like the caterpillar that becomes the butterfly. There's a place in the middle called the chrysalis. The chrysalis is just a bunch of goo, and the caterpillar emerges out of that bunch of goo at some point. What's in there? Energy, love. There's something that happens that we don't really know, and then they come out a whole different species of animal. There's a transformation that happens. Transformation means you can't go back.
Yep.
The butterfly doesn't go back to the caterpillar. The other thing that's interesting is not all caterpillars become butterflies. So it's our innate wisdom. It's our innate right to become vibrantly healthy humans and healing ourselves. We're doing it now with technology, with frequency, with tech. There's biotech stuff all out there. There's biohacking. So I've studied all of it. That's what you've said. It's like it's not relevant for us to all go back to Peru and study with the shamans. Like we're in the modern day, but we also have to take what the modern day is not helping us with and start again asking those newer, deeper questions about what really matters, what's working, and what relationship I am with all of it.
Wow. Full circle. I love it. Josh, what an incredible mission you have. What an incredibly inspiring journey that you've been on as well. And I love how you have created a platform of just deep, intense love and purpose to help other people. And it is a deep love. It's a deep love to transfer knowledge. It's a deep love to do it in a way that you want that transformation for that other person to happen. So you're really doing such a service for us
Mm.
because we are in a time, I do believe that we are craving change. We might not know who to for, look to for change, but a lot of people are ready. They're ready to make that transition. They're ready to become the butterfly, right? They just don't know who to look to. And I'm going to say this, everyone listening to this show, Josh is that guide. He is that guide. I have worked with him closely for a long time. I attest that he is a consummate professional. He knows what he's doing and he can really change your life. And I think that is what your mission is. It's to transform lives and do it in a big way. And that's why your podcast is so powerful as well. It just, I think you just surpassed 300,000 downloads.
Hmm.
People from all over the world are really hungry for this message. Congratulations, my friend. You have really done a great job.
I'll pause and receive because sometimes we just need to receive gratitude rather than wipe it away. So thank you. And it's
Mm.
the word collective keeps coming up for me. The world needs healing.
Yeah.
There's no competition in healing.
Mhm.
When we're working in these groups, this collective that serves the whole, like because if I help one impact driven person, that
Mhm.
ripple effect moves to the next level, right? Because their
Mhm.
impact is huge. And so there's this flywheel ripple effect that can happen with just one person. And so I'm a purpose driven guy. I could, with all the connections I have, I'm certain I could make more money doing other things. But I'm not here to make money. Money is just a means to an experience, for more adventure, for more me, for more of my family to do fun things. But it's really rooted around purpose. And you've been there with me. You've seen these things where, it's not like one system works. It's the whole. The part equals the whole. And that's where you said people are hungry for it, because there's this stirring up inside of us that says we're ready for more. We're ready for this evolution. And the systems are crumbling. We're not trusting the government as much as we used to. We're not trusting healthcare. We're not trusting the financial institutions. They're all there from the old paradigm of humanity. 5,000-year cycle changing right now. It's power, money, control. Well, that doesn't serve the whole. So that masculine type approach, it's not male, female. It's just that masculine energy is starting to move now into this more nurturing, can we help each other approach. So my collective Beyond the Pills is just one part of that. And you're part of that, right? We're part of this because we all do our little zone of genius that creates healing and transformation for the world. I just focus on the person first. Some people are working on relationships, on business, on finances. I've had awesome conversations with these people because they're doing that same thing in those buckets where we're doing this together. And by doing that, it creates such a more meaningful thing. Everybody wants to be purpose driven. We want to have a purpose. It's our life energy to go out, get up, and do something with purpose. It doesn't have to be a big ripple. It can be, my wife is so beautiful. She's a holistic pet health coach because she loves puppies and she loves dogs and she wants to understand how she can help the world. She sees babies running across the street and she'll see one dog and it's just her. She goes, oh, look at that dog. Because that's her love. That's her passion. That's her purpose. And you might be a stay-at-home mom, but that's your purpose. Your purpose is to feed and nurture and make those beautiful humans become the best humans they can be. So purpose can go in a lot of different directions. Your book is awesome with that. And so I would just tell people, as we're wrapping up here, is like, find your spark and nurture that. It's like the alignment. My surrender experiment last year did a 180 of my whole life. I'm full alignment with who I am and what I'm doing. And I say yes to that. It's about saying no to the things that don't align with you and doing it with love, respect, and compassion, not angst, not, anxiety, and certainly not like vindictive attitudes. Just say no. Loving. I say love them out the door.
I love that. I'll keep that in mind. And
here you go. Like laughter, like putting humor into this, right? There's no reason for us to be in existence without putting a smile on your face. Even if you don't want to, just try smiling. Even if you're pissed off, it will change your mood.
Yep. I love that.
Keeps going up this way.
Josh, you are so amazing, such an inspiration. Where can people find out more about you online? Obviously, we know Beyond the Pills podcast, which is available, I think, on 30 plus channels, global hit. Besides Beyond the Pills podcast, where can people...
Everything has just become Beyond the Pills for me, right? Beyond the Pills, right?
Yeah.
So go beyondthepills.com. That website's brewing now. We've got all levels of ways we can treat people. Everybody, we treat them where you're at. I got foundations like you talked about today. Very low, simple costs. For a couple $100, you can get right on your way. All the way up to my alignment arc, where I'm taking high business professionals through their own transformational journey, and we end up in Costa Rica or Peru on an awesome excursion. So we've got ways to help people in different ways. I'm on LinkedIn. That's the easiest place to find me or, DM me. But gobeyondthepills.com is just a nice place for people to hub. The podcast is it's my passion. You're not going to see me on a ton of social media, like you said. It's just not my thing. I want to align with people that are gonna, when I'm in alignment, people find me. And you're very helpful for me to help, with some of the things we need to do. But it's, I'm not in the business of selling things anymore. I want to align with the right people and say, let's get to work. And that's just where I am. I'm gonna always give as much as I possibly can if someone's willing to receive.
Oh, amazing. Josh, you have a heart of gold. I love it. It is such a pleasure to be connected to you, to work with you, to support you, and to learn from you. You are my teacher, and I really respect you. So thank you so much for being a guest today on Grasp Confidence. And thank you for everyone who tuned in. Stop this episode. Go check out Beyond the Pills. That is something that I think anybody that is in this audience, the high performers, the leaders, can benefit from, because it's time to transcend. It's time to transform. It's time to get off things that don't serve us and align with things that do. So if that resonates with you, check out Beyond the Pills, and we will see you on the next episode. Take care.
Thank you.